Hi fellow Limeys, Bill here. As you can see, I'm sitting out on the deck. Half decent day here in Pennsylvania. It is in the low 50s. I think the last time I looked it's about 52 or so. A little bit of a breeze going, but it's nice out here in the sun. And I've got a black shirt on. Sitting in the sun feels good with this black hoodie on. And just thought I would give you all a quick update on what's been going on with me. I had done a video, I think on Friday or Thursday night maybe, explaining the show that we were at. Um, Sorry about that, a little bit of a dry throat here. There was a sports show, like an outdoor sports show in the city here, close to where I live, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I would say between those 3 days, it was about 25 hours or so of time involved with that, and we had a booth for our local Lyme disease support group, which is part of the PA Lyme Resource Network. It's kind of a network of the whole state of Lyme support groups, and we had a table with all the stuff we give out, a lot of informational papers and pamphlets and booklets and different things like that we hand out at various events like that. And I would have to say, it went very well. It was probably the biggest thing we've been at yet, as far as number of people and turnout, and obviously the amount of time. So we had, I think there was 5 of us that were kind of rotating in and out. I have my normal bad mornings with Lyme, so I think I might have got there around 11 once or twice, and maybe more like 12 or 1 another day. And we kind of rotate in and out, maybe do 4 or 5 hour shifts at a time. And so I basically did that all 3 days, and so that was a lot for me to do. And it didn't help that the weather wasn't the greatest. We were inside, but the weather wasn't the greatest over the weekend. It was 30s and 40s and raining, and so that didn't do my joints any good, especially since we were standing a lot, talking to people and standing on a hard, basically concrete floor, so that hurt my feet a lot. But yeah, it was definitely good. I don't know what the turnout was, but there was thousands and thousands of people that went through there each day. I mean, just a lot of people. Hundreds of vendors of different, anything from hunting and fishing and camping and state parks and you name it. Just anything kind of outdoors related. So we thought that would really be a good place for us to be. This was our first time doing this show, and we just thought this was really important, to educate people and raise awareness, not just about ticks, but other ways that Lyme and other associated diseases can be transmitted. So we had anything from people that are clueless like I once was to people that are experiencing it, and so they know a lot about it, just like we do. We learned the hard way, and so it was very encouraging to sorry, I got a real dry throat out here today. I'm gonna drink some of my water kefir. What was I saying? Lyme brain. Oh yeah, so it was very encouraging. We had a lot of people thank us for doing that, thank us for being there. We didn't have too much problems with anybody. We had, I think, maybe only one person that got a little bit upset with us because they were trying to tell us how to take ticks off and how to smother them by putting various things on them, and that's not what you want to do. And we tried to explain to the person that that's not the way, that's not the proper way to pull a tick off unless you want to get injected with stuff to make you sick. He got a little bit upset and walked away, but other than that, we had a lot of, you know, just a lot of good comments, a lot of thanks, and some of the. I was trying to explain this to somebody yesterday, messaging back and forth to somebody, you know who you are, how I'm having trouble saying it here. It really bothers me whenever I see so many people struggling. It's frustrating. And especially um, when it's kids, that contract Lyme disease, or even young people like in their 20s, or millennials. We had one family come by, and sorry, I'm getting upset here. Um, we had one family come by that the little girl was maybe, I'm going to say about 6 or 7, and she had been sick with Lyme for about 3 years. I think they said she caught it when she was 3, and she was still struggling with a lot of pain and and neurological issues, and it really hits me hard when I see these kids that have Lyme. You wonder if this is going to affect them for the rest of their lives or what. And when people ask questions, about whether it will, it's difficult to. You don't want to tell them, yeah, you're going to be dealing with this the rest of your life, and you don't want to be telling them, nope, it's easily cured, and you're good to go. You can't. It's difficult to. Which either one of those extremes is, not what you want to do, and so a lot of people do have that question. Can this be cured? And what I always try to describe to them is, we all carry different, microbes and bugs around in our system, all our lives, that don't, affect us, that don't make us sick, because my mouth is so dry. We carry a lot of stuff around in us for life that, we got good bacteria and some bad bacteria, but our immune system keeps them from getting out of control. And, and that's also, I would say, I would tell people it's not the goal to get rid of every single bacteria in your body. Obviously, you'd die if you did that, because we do have, a lot of stuff that lives symbiotically with us. And so, yeah, I got that question a lot, whether it can be cured, and then a lot of people don't know about co-infections, so they don't know about Bartonella and Babesia and, Rickettsia and Rocky Mountain spotted fever and Ehrlichia, Anaplasma, Mycoplasma, and EBV, and the list goes on and on and on, as you know. So a lot of people don't know about that, even medical professionals, and that, makes everything worse. And statistics, studies have shown that there's a good number of people that have Lyme that also have co-infections. And it's also, possible to have the co-infections and not have Lyme. So I know a lot of people don't like the word co-infection. I believe Klinghardt doesn't like that word. But, when it's something you're getting along with the Lyme, then I don't see a problem with calling it a co-infection. But it's not. It's just another infection. But the ticks carry multiple diseases. So that was, one thing we like to stress to a lot of people. And then the other thing being, the testing being absolutely dreadful. How many people walked up to us and said, well, I got tested and they said I don't have Lyme. Well, that's not so. You have to delicately, explain to them that the testing stinks, and it was never intended for diagnosing a single person. It was more for population, surveys and statistics, and it's being misused by the medical system now as a tool to diagnose people. And it can be part of the picture of diagnosing people, but it's as you all pretty much know by now, if you've been doing this for a while, how many false negatives there are, and the accuracy of the test, depending on which lab you go to. Whether some labs it's like a coin flip. It might be 50% at best. You might go with some of the better labs, and you might get up around, I don't know, 70 or 80% accuracy, which is still not very good. Still leaves a lot of room for error. So just trying to explain to people that it's a clinical diagnosis, and even my lips are dry today. I guess it's maybe just dry air, because as you can see, it is blue sky, and oops, I still have my hummingbird feeder up there. Should have taken that down for winter. And dry air, so that might be what's causing me to have this dry mouth and lips here. And so yeah, I'm having Lyme brain here for a second. Hold on a minute. So I was trying to remember what I was talking about there. Discussing, the testing with people. We did a lot of that. We did a lot of, just explaining how broken the medical system is, and, how, a lot of people try to bash GPs, PCPs, general family doctors. And I don't agree with that. I think we can't expect family doctors to be Lyme experts and know it all and be able to treat it. How many other conditions do they refer us to a specialist? If you got cancer, you're going to go to a cancer specialist. If you get, you name it, just whatever diseases or conditions, a lot of them are, referred to a specialist. So that's kind of what's going on with Lyme. We have what's called Lyme literate doctors, but the system is still messed up because we don't get the treatment covered. We have to pay out of pocket for most of it because it's not recognized by the CDC and IDSA, and I won't go down that rabbit hole right now because my blood pressure goes up. But it was just a really good weekend, so I was very grateful, blessed to to be able to do that for 3 days in a row. And so it was a long weekend for me, and I kind of paid for it. Not just the show, but I also went to church on Sunday and made it there before I went to the show on Sunday. And thinking, I went out to dinner with friends 2 or 3 times there over the weekend too, so over the long weekend. So yeah, it was a lot of activity for me. So I was able to do it, but I'm kind of chilling out, paying for it here, just resting and relaxing here today. And just glad to be sitting out here watching the birds and listening to the birds, other than the sound of all the construction going on down the hill. I don't know if you can hear that. They're still logging out the woods down there and making a bunch of noise. I don't know if there's been any gunshots today. I'm so used to hearing it that it doesn't register anymore. So I don't really mind that so much. So anyhow, yeah, I had a good weekend, and I back to doing my, my pulsing of my antibiotics and herbs. I do what we've been doing for quite a while is like half the time on, half the time off. So basically, like 3.5 days on and 3.5 days off of the antibiotics. The herbs I still do pretty much full time, and maybe only pulse them every couple of weeks for a day and a half or 2 days. And I learned from that kind of long time off of the antibiotics there that I hurt pretty bad when I went back on. So that's, what does that mean? Does that mean I still have a whole lot of bugs in my system and killed them off and hurts like that? I don't know the answer to that question 100%. So it worries me that okay, do I still have a lot of these bugs in my system, or did I just not detox enough? Because as you all know, I've talked about this many times before, that I have to detox a lot to keep from herxing. And I was busy doing all that stuff, so I didn't have as much time to, do all my detox baths and coffee the non-traditional way, and everything that I usually do on a daily basis. I couldn't do there for 2 or 3 days because I was so busy. But I've still had my aches and pains, my normal aches and pains, and my normal Lyme morning that I have trouble getting moving in the morning. I feel like I got run over by a truck in the mornings, and this morning I didn't get out of bed till 11 o'clock. I got up around 10 and got my tea and my herbal tinctures and climbed back in bed and listened to podcasts. And so I think maybe it's just because I'm paying for all the activity over the weekend and needing some rest after that. So um, we'll see. But other than that, as far as symptoms go, as you can see, I'm out in the sun here. The last 2 years, I couldn't do much of this. Uh, I just couldn't, even with these photochromic glasses. These don't get real dark like my sunglasses, but there was a lot of time there that I couldn't have been out in this bright sun very much, not for long. I didn't like it, and so that's the one, uh, you know, praise and I'm thankful for and grateful for that a lot of my neurological stuff has gone away. And I'm pretty sure that's because of a lot of the herbal stuff I'm taking, and the fact that I'm pretty sure I've made a lot of headway against these bugs. And so it was interesting explaining that to people, at the show, because a lot of people, are under the opinion, well, you get 2 or 3 weeks of doxycycline and you're good to go. And we all know that's not the case. And a lot of people ask the question, what do you think about that? And I would say, well, you stand a way better chance of getting rid of Lyme if you catch it right away. If you were, quote, lucky enough to get a bullseye rash, you got Lyme if you have that. We try to explain that to people too. And the way the bullseye rash doesn't show up on everybody, it's only a certain percentage of people that get that, and it doesn't always look like a perfect bullseye either. So, but it is, part of the clinical diagnosis. If you have the bullseye rash, I don't care what the test said, you pretty much have Lyme. And then, like I said, the co-infections is the other part of it, and we try to explain that to a lot of people that, just because you got a negative Lyme test doesn't mean that you don't have any infections from the tick. Could have one or more of the co-infections. So, it was just a lot of really good conversations with people, and we made some contacts with some people that we're going to do some. I'm not going to, but some of the leaders of the group do some, little seminars and give a PowerPoint presentation to different organizations, and they had a guy there that was a supervisor of, I think, about 10 or 12 guys that work on power lines, on electrical power lines. So you got an open area with a whole bunch of weeds basically on a lot of power lines. So and a lot of deer go through there, and that's a prime place to get ticks. These guys said about how many ticks they pull off themselves all the time, and we talked a lot to people about permethrin, Sawyer's tick repellent, how good it is, and some people knew about it and some people didn't. I didn't really know about it until after I got Lyme, when it was too late, but now I use it religiously. And so we might be doing some presentations for some of these groups like that, and just basically our heart is to raise awareness to people out there, so they don't go through the nightmare that we've gone through. That's why we're doing this, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, as you well know, and just a lot of, I wouldn't call it ignorance, but it's, a lot of people just don't know. They just don't think about it. Some guys might be, I don't have to worry about that. I'll never have to worry about that. Well, I kind of thought that way at one time too, and, yeah, it's just a lot of different mindsets out there, a lot of different, bad information and good information out there. So, trying to sift through all of it, and we got a lot of good stuff that we give out to people at these events, and we gave away a ton of literature. Like I said, I think this was the biggest thing we've ever done as far as the number of people, and so it was just very gratifying, I guess you could say, to help people and help raise awareness, and get some contacts of people that need more information. We're not allowed to give medical advice at things like that. So we can't say, you know, oh, you should take this or you should take that. We're not allowed. Our group's not allowed to give medical advice, you know, as part of the group, and we're not allowed to say, well, you should go to this doctor or you shouldn't go to that doctor. You know, we can refer people to doctors on a one-on-one basis, but we're not supposed to do that as the group. So, you know, that's always a little bit of a touchy, you know, situation there. To, you know, you want to give, you know, advice on what worked for you, and we're not. We can say, you know, well, I did this, you know, and it helped me, but we can't, you know, recommend that somebody does something. So I just thought I would explain that. You know, that's part of what we do is, you know, after the fact, if somebody, you know, wants to message us, we can give them more information like that. So yeah, I just thought I'd update you all on all that, and this looks like it's getting way too long, so I will talk to you soon. Thanks.